Okay.
Not yet. There we go.
Are we good now? Okay, good. All right. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for coming out. This is our second advisory committee meeting for the comprehensive plan / Parks and Rec master plan, recreation and park. And as you know, I'm Michelle McIntosh Ross, and I know you came here last time, so thank you, welcome. We have a couple of people who will not make it, but we have some folks on Zoom, so they'll be participating. We're gonna do a quick roll call. We'll just call in the names of everybody, so Sam will do that.
Okay, Sherry Allen is supposed to be here on Zoom, but she's not here just yet. We have Linda Bain. We have Jennifer Barnes here. We have William Collins. He may be
Chip
later. Okay, Chip. We have Raymond Grott.
Close, Grody.
Grody.
Oh, Grody.
Sorry.
Oh.
Okay. And then we have Reed Haggard.
Here.
Okay, Melody Kelly. Present. We have Marquiza Morales.
Yes.
Okay. Kimberly Oliver.
She won't
Might
be
be
here.
absent. Okay, Andrea Settles.
Here.
Okay, Sharon Shakib. Okay. And we have Rhonda Smith.
Here.
Who's our chair. And then we have Nathan.
Natan.
He won't be here. Okay, and then we have Tyler Irwin. Tyler Ewing. Okay, there we go. We got it.
All right, thanks so much for the roll call. And again, thanks for coming and thanks for all the efforts that y'all did for publicizing our last meeting. We had close to 100 people there for the public meeting, so that was really good. Consultants were surprised, other communities didn't expect that much participation, but thank you to you guys. Just real quick, I wanted to mention that you can get your parking validated by security desks, get a stamp so that you don't have to pay when you leave. And I'll just have Rhonda, I'm gonna say a quick word.
Yes, please. So if you were not there at the first public meeting, the turnout was really great. I thought the interaction of the audience that was there was really, really great. Everyone got into the very interesting activities. They were very interesting. Thank you so much for the creative juices you all put together to have those activities. I think it's really obvious to the public what is happening, what's going on in terms of exposure. Lots of very important, useful items, some in front of you, from the City Green Live concert. There was lots, hundreds and hundreds of these. I don't know, how many do we know how many we gave out?
Oh, probably 1,000.
1,000,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and at the 4th of July. you
4th of July, yep. So it's been, the exposure's been good. And I think the public is really, the uptake is good. So hopefully our north and south public meetings will be well attended. Yeah. You spread the word on your social, spread the word, however you spread the word about your life and things that you do, so that we can get more people there.
Great, yes, thank you. And we'll hear more about the upcoming meetings in the presentation for the 17th of August and 20th of August. All right, so sent a bit of a homework exercise for you to look at the previous next 10. So hopefully you got to it, but no problem. We'll have a discussion and you'll be able to run through the items and see what we have. So not going to take too long here. I would turn it over to our consultants, RHI Security Group. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Sherry Allen is on Zoom.
On Zoom,
Yes,
is there one person in Zoom or multiple?
just one.
Just one, okay. Thank you, everybody, for attending today's second advisory committee meeting. Good afternoon, good evening. My name is Sukriti Ghosh. I'm principal with RHI. And with me, we have a host of other consultant team members, Eric Feldman with RHI, Allison Sinyard with TSW. She is leading the public participation / community engagement of the plan. Carlos Perez is with Perez Planning and Design. He's leading the recreation and the parks master plan piece. Megan McMullen, she is working on the comprehensive plans, transportation and connectivity and mobility element. And Trevor, he is working on heavy advisory, and he is working on the economic development and the housing portions of the plan. So today, if I can advance the slides.
Real quick, security, Chip Collins is present.
Okay, Chip
Yeah,
Collins.
we
okay.
have Chip
Thank you.
Collins, yes.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have some fun activities scheduled for you tonight. The next 2 hours is going to be listening to you again and having some activities. For the first 20 minutes though, we're going to share with you an update of where we are with the community engagement and what we have been hearing from the community, very, very preliminary level. And then for the next 45 minutes, we'll have some activities for the comprehensive plan. By the way, can you hear me all right? And then after that, it will be the recreation, the parks master plan activities for another 45 minutes. And then we'll round it off with the next steps for the plan. And as Rhonda and Michelle mentioned, we'll have the next set of public meetings, August 17th and the 20th, on the north end and the south end. So that'll be good to diversify the areas. So with regards to the community engagement, before we go into that, with regards to the scope and schedule, as we all know, as we mentioned last time around, it's roughly a year-long process. We are literally on the community engagement side of things, we're literally 1 month into the process. Although it shows like 4 months, there is some pre-planning and then meeting with you guys and just setting the stage for the community kickoff. We are literally like 1 month into the process. So we are tracking very nicely along. We're tracking very nicely along the whole schedule. And this week, after the advisory committee meeting, we're going to provide brief updates to the mayor and the council tomorrow night at the work session. I'm being shown like to move to the left. And then day after tomorrow, we'll have a brief session and giving an update to the planning commission. And the immediate next activity is the public meeting number 2 that is happening in August. So as Michelle mentioned, we have been pretty busy. I mean, some of you might have attended the public meeting, but we have been going to the community and planning events and leveraging existing events. So we had the first public meeting. It was really well attended. As Michelle mentioned, we are surprised with the kind of support that we saw from the community. And beyond the public meeting, we had several pop-ups. As you can see the list on the right-hand side, we had a couple of farmers market, Juneteenth, Sesame Street Live. We attended Stars and Stripes on July 4th. We attended one of the concert series and we'll be attending another one coming soon. We attended all of most of the World Cup watch parties. I'm a little sad that the last month was World Cup and then I'm still the hangover and the fever of that. Then we'll have the city pop-up at the park, which is the Overlook Park at Morgan Falls at July 25th. Brent and Carlos are going to be hosting that. And then in addition to that, we had a bunch of stakeholder meetings. We have a lot planned for the next couple of days. We have been meeting with the city departments. We've met with the Council of Neighborhoods, our Sandy Springs Conservancy, several nonprofits, developers, real estate folks. And then, of course, met with the leadership group, the mayor and the council. We had drop-in sessions with the Planning Commission and the Board of Appeals. And then, of course, you guys are kind of leading and guiding us through the whole process. This is the second meeting of the advisory committee. These are some pictures from the public meeting number 1. We kicked it off with the presentation and then had a lot of activities, as Rhonda mentioned. We had map activities, hands-on map activities, budget allocation activities for recreation in the parks, and sharing your thoughts, kind of a pin-up activity as part of the comprehensive plan. These are some more pictures of the pop-ups. As you can see, we had big banners and really good participation and showing at the Stars and Stripes, Farmers Market, Juneteenth, and a lot more. So there is an engagement hub. If you have not already been to the website is Plan the Next Chapter. Please take a picture of the QR code on the right-hand side, and that will lead you directly into the website. There are some stuff, literature in front of you.
Yes, also on the bookmarks and the fans, same QR.
Yes. So if you can use the QR code and see the website, we are updating the website on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. We are uploading documentations, we're uploading all of the upcoming meetings. We have online surveys, question of the month, that is always fun. And we'll be updating every week going forward. So Allison will kind of share some of her thoughts on what we'll be updating in the coming weeks with regards to the survey. With regards to the numbers, by the numbers, as you can see, there are a variety of engagement. We have reached 400 or more people at the pop-ups. That's an astounding number. We have already met with 12 stakeholder groups, more coming soon. More than 90 people attended the public meeting number 1, 1,700 unique engagement hub visitors, and over 3,200 comments and counting. So just the first month that is alive. So that's impressive.
And can I clarify, security, with the total number of comments? So we've been tracking, this is total from the engagement hub, the online activities we had. Any dot, vote, flag that was put on a map at the first public meeting, that includes all of those comments. So we counted that as a comment, like somebody giving their input. Farmers market, activities, pop-ups that we've done. If we had an activity and somebody put a sticky note or a card somewhere, we counted it. So that is like, and I expect that number to keep growing with every single phase of engagement.
Thank you. And thanks to all of you who have spread the word around, and thanks to the community members. It's an impressive kind of showing so far, and let's keep this momentum growing. Okay, now on to a quick Mentimeter poll. We wanted to get your pulse on some of the things that, so we are asking the question, if you can take a picture of that QR code, the Mentimeter question will be popping up on your screen. And we're asking you, as advisory committee members, how have you engaged with the plan to date? You had some homework assignments, so you can click on all of those, any of those. The options are, have you engaged with the plan through the engagement hub, public meeting number 1, pop-ups, shared information about the plan with your network, anything else, or maybe not. So there is still opportunity. This is the second meeting. There is still opportunity to engage. Give a few more seconds for, I see 9 people are responding.
I'd be really curious what other ways have y'all
Talking
engaged?
people's ear off, that would be me.
Oh. A great way to get
Oh, yeah.
get to spread awareness.
Yep, lots of individual conversations.
Great.
And folks online, hopefully you were able to participate in the Mentimeter poll too. Let us know if you have any trouble getting into the poll. Great. I love the fact that there is a lot of clustering around shared information of the plan with your network. That's what the primary responsibility of the advisory committee group is. You're the champions of the plan. So please continue to do so. Thank you very much. People are waiting, 10 or 14. Have all of you in the room been able to? Okay, awesome.
I can't get on, but it's fine. I'm getting there eventually.
Wait for you. Wait for you.
No, please don't.
Please don't, okay?
No.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for your feedback. Okay, so this is a very preliminary feedback from what we have been hearing from the folks. This includes public meeting number 1, the stakeholder meetings, what we have been hearing from the leadership, mayor and council, as well as the planning commission. So this is, again, I kind of want to underline, this is a very preliminary feedback, and this is just a snapshot. In the subsequent slides, I will share some of the overview feedback, which are organized by the different themes. So you can see in this snapshot, some of the things that are jumping out, talking about preservation of the neighborhood character, increasing walkability, balancing growth, increasing or preserving tree canopy, increasing affordability, commercial revitalization, providing opportunities for housing to young families, sidewalks, side paths, more of that, parks and green spaces, and that connects directly to the recreation, the Parks Master Plan that Carlos is going to be talking about. Stormwater and flooding. So you can see there is a lot of things that we have been hearing, and this will grow even more. And as we start to get feedback from the community, other community members. Anything that you see in here that you don't agree as advisory committee members?
Is this a relative scale in terms
It
of?
is. It is. So we have been hearing most about the neighborhood character. So that's why.
And a lot of those things are interconnected.
Exactly.
Obviously, walkability and side paths and destinations and all of those things are interconnected with each other. And everyone's mileage is going to vary about how focused they are on those things, not only with respect to their usability for themselves, but how they might impact them. With respect to what the city decides to do about, say, side paths. If you decide to install a side path outside my neighborhood, I might be thrilled out of my mind, but it also might sacrifice tree canopy and I might not be so happy about it.
And throughout the whole process, again, like I mentioned, this is just for the first month. Throughout the whole process, the relative nature of the feedback might change. The
Mhm.
scales might change as we hear from more people in the community.
Rhonda,
So,
before we move on, sorry.
Sure.
I know this is near and dear to your heart. Can you explain exactly what we mean when we say neighborhood character?
So and it's funny because as part of the homework assignment, obviously, we talked about looking at the 10 for the next 10. And the number one item here is neighborhood preservation. That was and I sticky noted that as the core value. It was the why of why we became a city, because there was so much concern about how Fulton County was impacting us and whether or not there would be a way for us to preserve what we love the most about our city, which is its neighborhoods. 80%, is it 80 or 82% of our land mass is made up of our neighborhoods. And I think that feeling of, and I know Mayor Paul had said this at one point in a very public way, that you expect your neighborhood to look the same when you leave as it did when you arrived. And that could be 3, 5, 10, in my case, it was 29 years later. And I know my neighborhood has changed. The fabric of it really didn't change that much. There was still a lot of really great neighborhood feel, but there was more individualism in the housing styles. The size of the lots didn't change, and I think that from a character perspective is and still very important to folks in terms of not seeing more density come into the core of neighborhoods. And I think when you talk about that character, it's not necessarily based in what do the houses look like, but what is the feel of the overall size of the neighborhood and the lots.
That's what I was hoping to hear.
And you know it from North Springs. I mean, you know what that feels like.
great. Any other questions, comments on this? Okay, just moving on. Some of the comments we have taken and organized those into different buckets, and these buckets are based on the different chapters from the existing, which is the next 10 plan. So on the first bucket of land use and development, we heard a strong desire from the community so far about balancing growth while protecting neighborhood character, what Rhonda just mentioned. There are concerns about overdevelopment with building heights and the pace of multifamily construction. There is general support for revitalizing underutilized and aging commercial properties, mixed-use development, and improving the appearance of Roswell Road, which is our main street. And then we have heard that there is a need for more neighborhood serving retail. So that from the land use and development side of things. On the transportation aspects, we have heard concerns about traffic congestion, especially along Roswell Road. We have heard that many times. There is a desire for walkability and for better regional connectivity. It's not only about the city, how we are connecting over to the other areas and the adjoining communities. And then support for expanding of the trail network. People like having the trail and being outdoors. So that's a theme that is coming out very strongly. On the economic development side of things, desire to support the diverse workforce. There is concerns about over-commercialization. And then there is desire to enhance Sandy Springs regional awareness and identity. How can we be, like with our unique characteristics, how can we be more, how can we enhance our identity even more? On the housing side, housing affordability is coming out as one of the top concerns, and desire to provide affordable housing options for young families, empty nesters, seniors, and those looking to downsize. So general like provide a diversity of housing options. Opinions on multifamily are very mixed, like I mentioned before. Some would like to see more apartments, and others feels like there are too many already. So as we go through the process, we'll have to see how the community is coming out on that specific topic. Concerns about residential lot assemblages and tear downs, especially how it impacts flooding and stormwater management, neighborhood character. As you mentioned, how do you balance that with a tree canopy? On the green space, on the natural systems and sustainability side of things, there is a desire to preserve, expand, and upgrade parks and green space. And you'll hear that from Carlos when he's going to go through some of the activities on the recreation, the Parks Master Plan. There is general support for protecting and expanding the tree canopy, desire to address floodwater and stormwater challenges, and support for improving access to Chattahoochee River for outdoor recreation. There's a lot of frontage along the Chattahoochee River, but there's a lot of private frontage along Chattahoochee. How can we find those very focused or specific locations for people in the community to get access to the great riverfront that we have in here? And then finally, the desire for more playgrounds and places to play. So that kind of rounds up all of the preliminary feedback from what we have heard so far. And we are going to get into the activity section. If we have any questions about some of the feedback that we have received, we can pause here for a few seconds while Allison transitions over, and she's going to be going through with the comprehensive plan committee goals, needs, and opportunities.
Can you go back 2 slides?
Yes, which one?
Another one? Over, what is, you're there, what does bullet 2 on the right mean?
So concerns about over commercialization, which pairs with the preference of revitalizing existing commercial areas. So how can you create the nodal character areas rather than it's a run-on sentence of commercial along Roswell Road? So how can you like confronted growth in several areas so it goes towards placemaking? It goes towards creating that neighborhood character or preserving that neighborhood character and creating that balance of growth between the commercial areas and the neighborhood preservation.
Thank you.
Anything else? Any other comments, questions? None? Let's get into the activities.
All right, so part of y'all's homework, we had y'all look at the goals from the last comprehensive plan and as well as some of the needs and opportunities that the plan had also identified. The purpose of this activity is just to say, all right, we don't necessarily want to reinvent the wheel when we talk about the future of our community. There's a lot of stuff that made sense 10 years ago. And I think the question is, do these things still make sense to us today? And these things are still going to make sense to us in the future. So with that said, it's important for us to look back on that current plan and decide what is it that we want to carry forward. And so having directions too on some of the previous plan goals and what we think about them today is going to help us better frame out the needs and opportunities that will also begin to inform the recommendations that this plan ultimately brings. So when you walk in, as you'll probably see where you're sitting, you have a stack of cards that represent the next 10 goals. So there should be a stack and they have a little binder clip on them. Okay. So with that, those are the 10 goals.
I hid them, I'm sure.
So those are your 10 goals from the last plan. You also had that stack 2 blank ones, and I'll talk about what the blank ones are in just a moment. But for each goal, what we want to understand is which are the ones that are still applicable, which are the ones that still work but might need some modifying, and then what are the ones that just no longer fit us or probably just need to be thrown out. And I would say maybe a third option of that is which ones maybe we've done. Like we have fulfilled that goal and we can just kind of put it away and say, now it's on to the next one. So what we want to ask is for you guys to do, and I've got 2 copies of the boards here, and I think we may move one of them to a different, maybe to the other side of the room here just to minimize traffic and pile up. I can grab those pins. So I have some push pins. I'm gonna put those around the space. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take every goal, look at it, consider it, and then you're gonna pin it into the category that fits your thoughts. Now, if you have goals you want to suggest, I've given you 2 blank cards. You are welcome to write them down on those blank cards and also provide them and pin them on the board. So what I may ask y'all to do, and so I'm gonna probably move one of these around. What I'm gonna ask y'all to do, just for a little housekeeping, if you put, let's say, the neighborhood preservation goal, if that's the one you still wanna, you think is still applicable and you wanna keep, and you put it onto the green block that's on the board, and let's say you see somebody put that one down and you also wanna put that down, if you wanna pin it on top of it, that'll help us a lot when we come back to tally up, because we're gonna tally them as soon as we're done, and then that's gonna help inform our next activity. Any questions? Yes.
The activity is good. Do we have any measurables for these things? Like, when we say, you know, reduce traffic on Roswell Road, like, are we measuring any of this stuff, or are these just sort of overall goals that we're aspiring to?
These were the overall goals that were in the next 10 plan, 10 years ago and 5 years ago. As far as metrics go, I don't know if there were any that were assigned at that moment, but I think that's something to think about too. If there are progress metrics we want to assign to these moving forward, I think that's something we would definitely want to incorporate into the plan.
Cool.
Great, so take a minute, look over the cards. Like I said, you had some homework, so these shouldn't be too terribly unfamiliar for you guys. And so then you're welcome to get up and put them onto the board.
Right.
I'm gonna go ahead and move one of these kind of, you have to do it this way, so we can just minimize pile elements. Yeah. Get up, right? Okay.
Push pins. We got push pins.
There we go. They were coming.
Does any, that wouldn't.
More of them. These still work versus many.
Got it.
Hello, how are you?
Issue with the
Well, how are you?
Good.
I'm gonna grab my galway.
Do you want us to write on the goals what you'd like to see as the modifications? Okay, good. Already did that.
Yeah, that was another thing. If you,
Already did that. Okay, I wanna make sure I'm not taking any liberties.
Did you ask what questions did you ask?
What I did.
Oh,
So if you think it needs modification, go ahead and write your modification
On this.
front or the back of the
yes,
card
I'm
and
sorry, I
stick it
forgot
on there.
that. I forgot to include that. If you are thinking this has these need to be modified, or maybe they don't fit, and you wanna provide some explanation, you can write on the back of the card.
Something go here, something go over there, it's the same thing.
Wonder what the difference between mobility and transit is.
Said mobility and transit.
Yeah,
In federal transit would be very specific to like buses or trains.
got it.
If we have blank card, do we want to? Come up with your own? Yes.
Here's the push pin, shall we?
Yeah, the other one. Hello. How are you, Mouse?
I feel it.
Board in the back. You know, have a possible.
What? Oh, yeah, this one right over there.
There, yeah, it's just.
It took me like, I bought it and then it took like a month to even use, because I didn't like the way it looked. Now I can't even see myself using it regular. And then the button on the top is like, the speed, it controls the speed of the mouse.
This is another one here.
You know how you unplug your pen sometimes and the mouse speed changes or something about it changes things separate? Yes.
Make sure I know when Aldo's
Okay.
Well, there are 3 on there.
They have a lot of.
Overlay the way. So they're riches, Mark Weiss.
Honestly, on your Mac, you left handed, I'm like, no, you just throws me out.
Yeah, you got
This is left handed.
Is it this mouse?
Oh,
He passed away.
yeah, Susan did it. Yeah. That might be.
Make the modification. Make sense. Part about that, everything over there is so actually walk thing. Really.
It's for everything.
Such a meeting.
Good to see you, bro. Good to see you, man. Always.
That was one.
No, you gotta hold smart.
Yeah, no, I think it'd be
Yeah.
great.
Cause that's the problem, you gotta hold this and go.
Wait, wait.
That's just Coco. No, not the one.
Your story.
And it's skills. Yes. That's what we did. You did already, okay, yeah.
Their meeting is.
He
Okay.
said he was getting a car.
Which means you're
Yeah, I saw you, but then I didn't see you. How are you? And thanks for everything.
Yeah.
Open.
Raylan is.
Yeah, they bring it through.
No breaking balls.
So that the RSVP thing.
Yeah, but it's us. Thank you. Good. How's everything going?
Good.
That's what I said. I said, see, I mean, it should be all right, cause it's just. Oh, yeah, I was out on the Springway twice this weekend.
You were?
Well, just handing out flyers for the event.
Okay.
And, yeah, it was really nice. I'm just saying, it was a lot of people. It was good. I got good feedback to a handful of people who typically go to the Beltline. And they're like, well, we like this better because it's not as crowded.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's kind of the purpose, yeah. It's to compliment.
So, yeah, I'm glad you made it out. It's a lot more. But, yeah.
Famous people, not.
I posted the picture, Jeff. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that was a good walk. The neighbors are pretty excited about 2C, that neighborhood is.
Was it fun?
Like, oh, that person, yeah.
And it was shaded, right? The nature of that walk is shaded, so it wasn't too bad.
So to coordinate the week, I'll be in touch with Brent listening, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
well, I mean, I'll coordinate with Brent, but is there any, like, coordinate with you directly or when I'll be there? Or,
I coordinated this.
Okay. They do.
If somebody found it, how did they?
Good. Yourself?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, same thing.
You found one?
Most recently, went back home, and family met up. And then, before that, I was coaching.
Over? I was in the kitchen, just put like. Yeah, I do remember.
Don't go out there. Yeah.
And it was right there to put it.
I'm sure about it.
They like to belong.
We were driving to Mexico. Inventory, I was like, oh wait.
Well, the guy,
I
think I just,
These
you know, that we don't have to.
Pretty else. Yeah, they moved the whole scouting out there. Which I don't know, doesn't make sense to me because it's really. Maybe that's what we wrote on, like, you know, the only way you get on. Very good.
I gotta look at it.
Run.
I would never
Large
have.
scout.
That would be. That was.
So they had
And we
this.
stood in the front.
It's really something.
And
Already seen.
But-
So, if anybody puts
So
something
that-
on purple.
No,
What's purple?
Oh, purple to be thrown away? Yeah, I guess we're not throwing anything out, okay.
Well, I don't know.
Are you ready to throw it? Throw it out.
I'm gonna find something.
Well, wait,
Make it separate because
there's, I actually have 3 goals underneath one question, and there's a reason why. Yeah, because I've got a rationale why.
Yeah.
You're gonna explain. I will explain. That's it.
chicken salad.
I put mine.
You done?
Answer, right? That's, they're making.
They are the best. No, in LA. Yeah, I give my best.
Can't help it.
Been so high school, they had my daughter there. Yeah, they had no, yeah.
Really?
Well, not too
Well,
close.
really?
Because-
Wow.
When you
I
know,
interviewed you as they were like.
Right.
Yeah,
No,
French
you-
guy,
they
yeah.
had to do it, no.
Winter, I guess.
Put comments on the.
I know I forget right.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
gonna all of all.
Yeah.
There's Sunday,
Very good.
And then make it whole, but-
I wasn't sure.
Oh, no.
Your head must have been exploded, 'cause you go from there.
But I know.
Oh.
So that's the only way for her to take.
Silent.
And I'm doing, I'm like, stop.
Yeah.
So, okay.
She is very.
Oh, is that how?
That's not-
Yeah.
Look, but now I've got some paper.
Not this time, but.
All right, so my understanding is, yeah,
That's
Dr. Kelly.
Yeah, right on the edge.
By night.
Well, reason about,
Anyway,
you know, calling out.
I got
But it, then it was fun.
Ran out of pushback. We've been good. And I will check with that.
Okay.
Take leaders and get your side. Great, yes, sir.
I know.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Hopefully then.
No, she's.
It'll be working away.
Place anything that was interesting.
So like, where is she
To do the whole hike.
Or does anything stick out to you?
We had-
You chosen for jury duty today.
Oh, you weren't? Oh, yeah, so you've been.
Yeah. Rest of the time. Rest of the time. Jim Ross is our.
Oh, really?
Good. Yeah. What world would have, everybody got some.
I know. Mind blowing. I don't know what happened. Yes.
Got a chance to put their,
Yeah.
that worked, okay.
Oh, combat.
All right, so everyone got a chance to put their, the goals, the categories that they kind of felt like that matched their thought. No, we're not waiting on anybody else to finish. Raise your hand if you're still noodling. Someone, okay, no rush. Want to make sure everyone got a chance to, put their stuff up. So one thing I do want to kind of quickly talk about is, you know, we've been tossing around these words like goals and needs and opportunities and policies and priorities. And I think it might be worth mentioning kind of how that all fits into this hierarchy, right? So the goals of the plan are really that. These are these high level aspirational statements that say, this is what we want to do. This is who we want to be. When we start talking about needs and opportunities, they do kind of go hand in hand with goals, except that needs and opportunities can inform goals, but goals can also inform needs and opportunities. So, for example, if preserving neighborhood character is an important goal, there are going to be some needs and opportunities there that relate to that goal. But on the other hand, there are going to be some needs and opportunities that will kind of naturally start to point towards that. So we have these needs and opportunities, and then within those needs and opportunities, that's when we start to dive into the actions of like, well, how are we going to get this done? How are we going to address that specific need? How are we going to incorporate that particular opportunity into our action plan? So what I want to quickly talk about first, will give y'all, number one, a quick opportunity to report out. Were there any goals that, like, from the off the top of your head, you were like, absolutely not, these do not fit, and why did y'all think that?
There's only one over there.
Oh, we only have one?
Balance community.
Oh, yes, that'd be really helpful. My view over here is a little bit limited. So of all the goals, it looks like all of these, the 10 goals from the last plan, maybe the exception of this one here, seems to still be applicable. So still applicable or may need some modification. So that in mind, when y'all are going through that list, in your mind, which were the ones that y'all thought needed the most modification for them to still work for the next 10 years?
I think, and one of the things I had a little bit of trouble with in terms of how to grasp a thought process around a goal and how it fits in with needs and opportunities is, are there policies under those goals that immediately come to mind that you should think about, and whether or not that goal and the way it's framed still works?
Mm-hmm.
If it even worked at all in the beginning. And one of those things for me was transit, because we don't have true control over MARTA. And I think that became very obvious when we started talking about MARTA transit-oriented development, Melody, last year. When did we talk about that MARTA TOD? Sorry, with your mouth full. Yeah, so that became really obvious, I think, to everyone, that we don't really have a level of control there. So it's great, and it sounds great that we're gonna give people access to, or think about giving people more access to MARTA, but we really don't have a lot of control. They're gonna do it whether we want it or not. They're gonna develop it how they want it, as long as it's under the, it fits under the development code with respect to satisfying what's required. I connected all three. I connected mobility, I connected connections, and I connected transit all to each other. There's one stack under that modification on the upper left. Because I think all of those three things are intrinsically linked to each other. You can't have those connections, in my mind, without some sort of what I feel is hyper-local types of transit. Where you can't just rely on MARTA buses or MARTA trains. If you want to get people from place to place within our hyper-local community, you have to give them a way to get there if you don't want them to get in their own cars. And we've never really talked about that out loud. We've never really said, what does that look like? And we have to decide if we're going to be are we gonna be in that service business? Are we gonna do that for people? And I mean, and I
Move them around?
I come from the
Buses.
public transit part of the world. I was riding the public bus when I was in second grade. So that's not how the culture of where we are functions. So is there gonna be a mind shift as as our community grows and changes and the demographic of our community changes? And I read an interesting article today about people getting to the end of what they call their drive span, which is, you're too old to drive. So how are you going to get around? You're still probably going to be able to walk 10 years beyond your desire or ability to drive. But how else are you going to get around in this very spread out city where you can't go to the grocery store unless you live within a quarter of a mile of it?
That's when you go to independent living.
Well, but those independent livings aren't necessarily all located where there
There's
is.
not any here.
Right, there's not there's not any, well, there's some.
Few,
Yeah,
yes.
there's a few, but that we have a aging demographic that is getting closer and closer. Every year, they're getting older and closer to their end of their drive span where they'll get out from behind the wheel. So thinking about that, and then also thinking about serving our younger community where if we want them to get out of their cars, gotta give them a way to get around. I don't know that.
We also need to give them things that are close enough to where they are.
True, but then.
That's hard.
But you also have to strike that balance of, we don't want commercialization to creep too close to or into the neighborhoods. Yet we also, a lot of folks are anti-apartment and anti-mixed use. So you can't have it both ways.
Well, everybody
And
wants it
that's-
both ways.
Right, and that's a very hard
Then
balance
the
to
other part
strike.
of all this too, if I can add, I don't think there's anything here that we should just stop looking at. Because as soon as we stop looking, something else is gonna creep in and change what our goal was 10 years ago, that we still had a good goal.
Mhm.
And we still need to watch for it. So, I think you might have modifications because of the demographics changing in the city, but beyond that, we need to watch everything.
So on the line of transit, mobility and all those things, I think we should write into a goal, looking at partnerships outside of MARTA and so maybe it's not the city is in the business of providing transportation, but the city's in the business of partnering. There's so much technology now that can drive all of this. And I'm sure there are many, privately funded, technology companies that would love to be a solution like that. I mean, they're testing out things in the city of Atlanta that, have varied response, but if we were to offer, driverless taxis to anybody who wants them for $5, that'd be something.
Self-driving Teslas.
So one thing I might be, and correct me Ron if I'm hearing this wrong, but it sounds like these three goals that were around transit, mobility, and connectivity could potentially just be one overarching goal with those three things kind of being needs and opportunities.
Possibly, yeah, but we have to be willing to make some sort of commitment to, this is what we're willing to do. And to Raymond's point, we have to do something. Just having, a goal and showing it as an opportunity is great, but we've never really advanced beyond this, just the words,
Yeah, and
since 2017.
So which three words? It's transit,
Transit,
mobility?
connections,
Okay,
and mobility.
okay.
I think certainly transit and mobility, because you explain the difference, I still don't fully understand it. They're just,
It is a subset of mobility. It's just buses and trains or community shuttles or things like, they'll use the perimeter CID shuttle to get around in that area. Or it could be like what you're talking about, like some communities do partner with technology programs, and instead of having their own shuttle service, they subsidize a shared ride
Yeah.
program. And so you can get, within your designated area, you can get discounted fares to go to. Sometimes it's just grocery stores, libraries, facilities like that, or sometimes it's everywhere. So there's a lot of options.
Yep.
I'm curious though, with interest in things beyond MARTA for transit, is it that the MARTA bus routes don't serve all the areas that you want to go, or just interest in a different
nobody rides.
facility?
Nobody rides.
And they do not serve the areas.
No,
that
they
want-
don't.
All
No.
they serve is.
And
Russell Road.
they actually have
They
um,
reduce.
changed the routes. I don't think
Yeah.
they're quite as expensive as they were even a year ago. They've just recently changed the routes.
And that's because of lack of use.
Right, lack of use, exactly.
Well, can I say also they are not reliable. They may still be serving that area, but the bus may not come. And I've had people tell me that they waited for the bus because the bus was supposed to come, but it did not.
And there's your lack of control when it comes to MARTA.
Right.
Yeah, it's gotta be, there'll be a theme here. There's ultimately, we want more control over what we're doing, right? I'll bring it up when you get to the things to add.
Would you
But
say that last bit again? I couldn't hear it.
I think
more
we need more control over the things that really our population, or we need to look for ways to control it more. Because MARTA doesn't care about Sandy Springs, and that's fine.
And I think there are perceived safety issues with MARTA,
For sure.
huge.
So, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, are we still doing ones that we wanna keep but requires modification?
Yeah, we can still talk about those.
Competitive economy. I don't know, I wanna argue that we might be in a more, it may be more competitive now than, let's say, 10 years ago. Just city to city and attracting and sustaining. I mean, everywhere is popping. For real, they all have city centers, green spaces. Everybody wants to attract the the next cool trend in business. I mean,
And a lot of those newer city centers are building more retail space where we don't have the luxury of more retail space being built, and our existing, albeit not necessarily the most desirable looking retail space, is all 95% occupied. Right.
so,
And there is no incentive or reason for any of our property owners to do much better without us paying for it. Literally,
And
offering them incentives to do
on
better.
the competitive and balanced something, I don't remember what the exact
yes, balanced community.
balanced community, but my question on that, or the need for modification, was, what types of jobs, what types of businesses? I can understand, the North American headquarters of Mercedes-Benz, right? But, what are we doing to encourage? Do we want a factory? I'm not saying we do, but we should state that plainly, what types of jobs we're looking to attract, types of businesses.
I wanna go back to the comment about, the competitive economy and being more competitive than we were 10 years ago. So knowing that's a goal that might need modifying, is it kind of now more about maintaining the competitive edge? Is it about, I'm trying to think like
Or are you saying?
in a goal setting, kind of coming back to the goal setting minds frame of it all, but so we know we're more competitive, so great, we met that goal, but is it about maintaining that?
I think the landscape is more competitive. I mean, we're probably competitive, I'm not saying that, but I meant just the environment.
Oh,
more
you're talking about
competitive.
as a whole, we like Atlanta region has become more competitive.
Okay, there we go.
Like that is our saying.
That's it. I like that. Yeah, we have more competition. These little cities are giving us a run right now.
I think we've got more businesses, Fortune 500, Fortune 100 businesses setting up, and all the fintech people who are going in on Abernathy. I think it's a whole lot better than it was 10 years ago.
So it could be about maintaining, maintaining that competitive edge. Sandy Springs is competitive, but it's about, looking at where in the market are you guys able to kind of pull in those folks?
Well, and I also think, Melody, we're waiting for some other things to happen. We're waiting for North River Plaza. We're waiting for Jamestown. We're waiting for approved entitlements in zoning that have not come to fruition because the market has not lent itself, at least in their minds, for a valid reason to put a shovel in the ground.
And then there's the perception that other places are having.
Yes.
Jamestown's is move and
Right.
North River's.
Now,
move.
but is that because they don't have anything now in those places? We're redeveloping as
Right.
opposed to
And-
developing. And that's what makes some of this very difficult in terms of, asking ourselves, we're all driving up and down Roswell Road, at least the people who understand the entitlements, and I'm like, how much longer are we gonna wait? Yeah, been a long time for a lot of these properties.
But you can't just say how much more time can we wait? What do
Well, no, we don't have a choice.
Choice.
We don't have a choice, no,
Choose, yeah.
Right. right. And
We also have an economic development group that is out there pursuing specific industries.
you're sitting next to the
types,
development authority
you
over there.
know? And I mean, their focus for the next, bringing companies in over the next 10 years is in certain areas, right? I mean, I'm not limited
Not to put you on
Jeff,
the
but
spot there.
but Kristen could probably speak
But
for
let's put it
Chris
on the spot.
Burnett too, about who's their target list, who are they going after? They're probably not going after factories. We haven't had a factory here since Western Electric closed down, you know? But, so, you know, I don't know who they're going after, who their targets are. That's already in the next 20 plan already, what they're doing. It's
Well,
just not
that's baked in just because of what
Yeah.
Chris Burnett and his team
what they're
is
going
doing,
after.
right?
But see, the difference with us is, like you said, ours is all redevelopment.
Right.
We don't have any empty dirt. You know, we don't have that. When you go out to Alpharetta, you go to different places like that, they have that. So there's an opportunity to get new out there, where for us, it's it's not new. It's redevelopment as opposed to brand new development.
And then and I'll say this last, because I'm thinking about what you just said, Reed. So I wonder how those intentions manifest themselves. You know, is it worth having, is there a custom around having like call it a plan, a master? So if I want to know what a Chris Burnett / Development Authority, what they're specifically targeting, where do I look for that? What does that formally look like? And I wouldn't mind that coming out of this exercise, at the very least. I don't want to call it a plan. I don't know what the term would be, but just saying Chris is on it is probably not,
The
Well,
vision.
even though I know he's the man.
And I think some of that happens in obviously private conversations.
Right.
And that's purposeful and
Yes.
reasonable to expect. But I think, and I honestly would have to go back and look at his presentation from the retreat to see if he had any really specific
Yeah, there was.
things that he was talking about. Yeah.
And as a point of reference, there is also a strategic economic development plan
From
that
2021.
that is old.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
that's something that is of interest that folks find useful, that's something that could come out of this plan is like,
Right.
maybe we should update that.
Yeah.
If that's something that people find to be useful.
And so my question would be, did people find it useful? Did staff, did anybody use it? The plan.
It was an interesting time going through it with COVID happening.
Yeah.
And it was sort of like, what's going to happen? We don't know, right? So I think it would look very different if you did it today.
Okay.
And I think it would also answer that question too, that Raymond mentioned, you know, what kind of jobs and businesses are we willing to attract? Yeah. I think that can also go a long way in answering that question as well. And Trevor and his team have written some of those strategy plans, so they can, he can definitely, I'm not trying to put you on spot, Trevor, but I know you could probably speak to that better than I could, what that entails.
It's a whole lot of things. We definitely have like a specific target industries part of an economic development strategic plan that focuses on what cities should be going after. Yeah, it's generally a sort of a separate process than sort of this master planning process, the comprehensive planning process, but yeah, we've done them all over the metro.
But see, that's what Melody's saying, and that's what, we're all representing residents sitting here, and we don't know what those plans are. We don't know what they're looking at, and, it's tough to communicate with such a diverse community, because there's just no way to get everyone. But I think that's a big piece of what we need to do here, is make sure everything that we are, because we're doing lots of good stuff. But we gotta make sure that the community knows that.
And just articulate it.
Yeah, and can articulate it, absolutely. I think that's very important, because I think half of the questions the residents raise are just because they don't know. And we're probably doing a lot of that stuff behind the scenes.
We have a few minutes left before I have to give it back to Carlos, but I guess one last thing I want to talk about was these additional goals to consider. Pin down, I'm actually gonna look at these. For those who wrote something down, do you want to report out and share the kind of what those additional goals look like?
Yeah.
Yes.
So the only one I wrote is around our education options, promoting quality education options. I don't have the goal fully formed in my head, but one, it's around options for, public school and private school, but also we have no say over the public school system whatsoever, and we don't have I don't think Rusty would totally disagree with this, but I don't think we have a great relationship with the public school system either. And so, developing more influence over that, one, and then two, you know, partnering to, you know, bring additional programs and, you know, tutoring things, just enhancing the overall education system within the city.
Add education in there too, because we've got basically, if you're in the real estate market and you say, which schools do you want your kids to go to? We have 2 hits in our 10 or 11 schools.
What are they, Jill?
Herds Ferry and Riverwood.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so you get both of those.
Riverwood.
With High Point, like a
High
sort
Point's
of second place.
it's at 50%.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
sort of it's a half and half. We work on that.
And so those are the first two that just I had on the top of this about education, and because just because we have another minute, I'm gonna quickly read through them. Every goal should identify what success actually looks like. Community health and safety, resilience to flooding, heat, infrastructure stress, inclusive aging, accessibility, measurable implementation, and fiscal sustainability. Practically investing in maintaining the Chattahoochee River as a recreation amenity. Competitive economy piece, focusing on unique retail, and preparing for the inevitable repurposing of aging multifamily communities for displacement, or communities redisplacement of workforce housing.
That's a big deal.
I know the city is thinking about this. The only other thing that concerns me is a plan for continuing to fund the city in a sustainable way. And y'all can speak to this, the councilors, better than I can, but I'm just worried about with all that's going on with the Georgia legislature, make sure that we have the opportunity to pay for the things that we want to pay for. So I think
that's what keeps our city manager up at night.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, I know it keeps, well, and to that point, it should be like, we should have something really important in our 10-year plan around it.
Tax base.
Tax base, addressing forms of revenue, you know, things like that.
I'm just gonna double back real quick for a minute, and it's kind of a question for you, Brent. With respect to our relationship with the Chattahoochee River National Recreation Area and how that all functions. I mean, obviously, we do have some crossover there, and we've got properties that we've, I guess, you wanna say given to the government, the stuff up off of Island Ford. So how do you view, and you don't have to make a deep dive out of it, how do you view our relationship with the folks who do run those programs? I know that I've met and had an opportunity to talk to, forget her last name, from Chattahoochee Parks and Conservancy, those folks. Do we need to step up that relationship so that we can help people understand just how much is available? I think someone made a comment to me about the Island Ford paddleboard event that happened on Saturday. And they went down there and they were like, I just had no idea that that was so amazing there, and it just seems underutilized. I personally don't go to Chattahoochee recreation areas as much as I used to. Do you feel like our city really does take advantage of that? And is the relationship healthy, and or are there ways to make it better?
Yeah, and I think it's healthy. We could probably do a better job of kind of marketing each other's programs, just make people more aware of what they're doing and what we're doing. Because they have a lot of great stuff going on. They're, you know, building trails and providing access, and they own a lot more land on the river than we do.
Mhm.
So we can certainly do a better job of kind of showcasing what they do and the assets that they provide to the community. Because at the end of the day, it is green space and it is recreational
Right, and
opportunities, whether we're paying.
And it's in
for
our
it or
city,
they're paying
right,
for
and
it.
it's in our city borders, so.
So we could do a better job of kind of, we do a pretty good job of maintaining open communication for what's happening along the river. But when it comes to the program opportunities, we could probably do a better job.
I think that's a fantastic segue, what Carlos is going to be saying about the recreation and parks. Thank you guys for your input. What I'm gonna be doing while we're transitioning over is I'm gonna be tallying up these results, and I'm gonna be putting them up on the whiteboard right over here.
Oh.
And that's gonna help guide our next activity.
Thank you. All right. So let's transition to the really cool part of this project. None of this comp plan stuff. It's about recreation and party. So we're gonna start off by doing 3 exercises that we shared with the public during a public meeting that we hadn't given this group an opportunity to complete. And for us, it's an important strategy to get your thoughts, so then we can compare that with the other techniques that we're using to get engagement. So that's the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna first do these 3 exercises, and I'm gonna explain them in a moment. Then I'm gonna share the findings from our last with you, exercises that we did and some of the key themes that we learned from that. I'm also gonna share the findings from the public meeting, so you can see how those findings relate to what we heard from this. And then the last exercise we're gonna do with you is we're gonna get your thoughts on what some preliminary goals could be for the Recreation and Parks Plan that relate to the comp plan goals that we discussed. Because we believe one of the strengths of this process, right, is to find those synergies between the 2 processes and leverage them. So the question to the group is there an opportunity to do the same thing with the goals for the project? So when we get to this phase of the project, we're making a little bit of sausage with you all, right? They're preliminary. They may evolve as we get more data, right? Because there's still a lot of analysis that remains to be completed, a lot of engagement to be completed. But it's a good starting point for us to consider as we move through the process. That sound good?
Yep.
All right, so let's start with the first 3 exercises. And they're right behind you. The first one is on the left. And what you're gonna see there is a board with 8 different options. On the table, you're gonna see a stack of 10 coins. So each of you is gonna grab a stack of 10 coins. And you're gonna spend those 10 coins and the options that are there on the left. That deals with different types of elements related to facilities. Whether it's improving existing facilities, expanding facilities, trails, etc. The opportunity here for you is that you can take those coins and either spread them around in those 8 buckets or go all in on something that you believe is important. There's also an other bucket. So if there's something that is missing, acknowledge that, you write that in, and then you assign the number of dollars that you would attribute to that one other element. Okay? That's the left side, it's about facilities. The right side, same exercise, but different options related to programs and operations. The one on the left is more capital related. The one on the right is more about programs and services and the community. And the same thing, you would get another stack of coins. And then in this case, we have 10 options for you, 10 buckets. And you would then spend those buckets as you would wish. And then there's another option again that you can write something down and allocate the dollars. So those are those 2 exercises there. Then there's a third one here in the corner, and that is willingness to spend. So as we've talked about, there's an opportunity to pursue a parks bond as part of this effort. Any bond would require an increase in taxes, right? So the question of the group is, how much would you be willing to pay in increased taxes per household that would go towards parks and recreation? And this is a question that we asked in the public meeting. We're gonna ask it in the statistically valid survey, online survey, et cetera. That will then help inform a potential parks bond.
What's the mechanism?
It would be a general obligation bond.
Right. Tax increase, what's the mechanism for?
Be property taxes.
Got it.
Right, Kristen, is that accurate? Yeah,
A dedicated millage.
dedicated mill.
Thank you.
So once we're done with the exercises, then we'll come back and sit down, and then we're gonna share with you the findings from the previous exercises as well as those from the public.
Can we adjust my property value down and then pay for it?
Only if you win your appeal. Only if you win your appeal.
I was mentioning the
I need a vote.
That?
they need to use their.
Yeah, so that you have thank you, Brent. You have stickers in front of you for that last one over there. Yep, very good. So we'll let you do the exercises and then we'll see you when you're back.
Parks.
We'll see. And then for the online, I'll send a link to you with this exercise for you to participate for yours. So we'll do this later this week. So we can get you that.
It's good. It's true. Good that one first. We don't have. Need dots for that one. Just need dots for that one.
Just need that, it's really one dot. We gave you a lot more than.
Less traveling so far. Something. Okay.
We did one. It's over here.
Every property tax bill is $7,000 or $8,000 and what's to us.
These are additional ones.
You can only do one.
Okay, thank you.
I know, but you're only supposed to do, you're only supposed to do so.
Yeah, only one dot.
Yeah.
So Linda, I'm gonna give you a dot first.
Only one dot.
It's one dot, right?
Don't put a dot.
One dot.
Linda put- Are you putting it out there?
You know, one.
No, you don't have to. Linda put two dots, so just use one of hers. It's Linda.
On top.
Okay.
Not me.
You gave me sprints.
We just sat down and looked at the little landslide thing and looked for big pieces of property and there it was. And then the girl was for us.
You're like. Yeah.
All right, I'm waiting. Too many people.
Sure, I know. She's so nice.
And then how do you get on that?
I wanna live for us and they need free. Yeah, but.
Oh, I'm glad you did it.
I'll still feel bad about it.
I don't know how I ended up being responsible for it, but they ended up on my corner.
I'm trying to get us.
Where?
Representing somebody want to build.
Oh, yeah?
Got turned down, I am, but it's back up.
Crying.
That's the problem, everybody wants something, but then when you talk about the reality of it, it was the ultimate, it was a big high end.
That,
That's the area where somebody. The ball, there's nothing on top.
out of those things.
And I guess.
That's the hardest part about it. You know, I have all these ideas. Transfer.
But. I gave them an option. They said no.
Right, I mean, all of those things.
That's the balance between so being goal and this can be implemented. So I don't think we have that conversation today, but we need to continue that conversation during the next one. That's where we drill down. And then drill down.
It's nice to have that.
It's nice to
It's great. It's a strip. Owls. Just. And they got part. And they.
Parents.
You're good.
That pool is very big.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear you.
Yeah, I know you do.
You know, and kind of like a rocky area.
Yeah.
Kind of attached hot tub.
Yes. Yeah, I'm good.
We're not Hammond.
What is that?
Hammond.
So.
Oh, wait a second.
All
right.
If they ask.
Like Chaplain Park.
Anything.
Fishes all over the river.
That's one in the river.
You wanna give all these kids E. coli? This is not the river of the 70s, okay? Stop.
Stop right there. Well, actually, it might be better. I was gonna say, it might have been worse back then, yeah.
But I guess.
Gotta jump off the cliffs. Never.
Right? Do whatever you're gonna do.
Well, none of you guys were around. Jump off the
Somebody
cliff.
else's money.
Hey, I didn't get to have that. Until I lived dangerously.
I mean, when that was first, even before it was built, we would cut up in there and jump off the cliffs. Then they put roads in there, before they built houses. That made it a lot easier.
Yeah, baby.
In my head, I'm seeing, my calendar, just here and I did, and I'm now moving here, I'm waiting.
Do we have a?
Never.
It's not my fault.
Actually, Mount Air Pool was rock.
Hey, there were more stuff.
Bye.
Yeah, more jacks. There's more jacks.
But, I think of the
Funny, this one's our pop-ups. Will we be up there?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
no,
Brent
and
I'll do it.
It is kind of weird.
Okay.
Because
Oh, okay. I just didn't see it on my calendar, so I wasn't sure. if
Yeah.
we were-
You went to Hal?
I don't think they would ever allow.
Somebody's money. Somebody's money's gone. Somebody's money I spent.
All of our bird watching programs.
Right.
Something in,
Oh, I'm not.
oh, yeah, on the other side. Okay, right over here. Leave that, I think, yeah, I'm hoping.
That's what I did. My mom's biggest fear.
Really?
Okay, so bird watching, I read, like the biggest, people who bird watch have the least cases of dementia.
He said he.
Really? So why am I dementia?
It was on Instagram, so it must be true. Backstory. Yeah, back.
I need to go.
Instagram, so it has to be true. It must be true, must be. Scientifically balanced. Yes, I can see that. Maybe. Correlation. I can see it.
I'm standing, I'm not.
Jennifer, are there any people saying they're interested in?
I have not heard that. I think so.
But when they be so close.
Or
and they just-
sell it.
There needs to be a
Me, I don't
vision,
see it,
but
but that could be something. New is always.
So that's fine. Yeah, for that, cause then
Right.
I and it's pushed. It feels like.
Uh-oh.
This, oh my God, oh no.
Voted somewhere else.
Bird in the bag.
Yeah, that's fun.
With Polaris.
And Janet, no back.
Breakfast.
Should we? Oh, so they give you a time update, that they want you to go out.
Rest.
That's $half an hour. Yours is y'all.
Jen's going to Pinnacle.
Patty and I already got this, and you just. How it's going. And the insects. And. Yeah. They have one here. That's why I'm going on. That's not it. It's not a whole week.
I need somebody to go.
Yeah, I want 23rd.
Third.
Think
Yeah.
of it as that window.
Third.
Data, you could be, but if you.
All right, I think we're almost.
Yes.
So while we go through these next series of slides with you, we're gonna tally these up and we're gonna do.
Are they chocolate coins?
And then you'll see how it compares to what we've heard.
He's stamped.
All right, you ready to go on? All right, I'm gonna warn you, the next series of slides are really data heavy. Right, but what we tried to do is extract some key themes from on each of the slides to share those thoughts. So we're gonna share the findings. We're gonna start with what the findings were from this group in our last meeting. So remember that we gave you, there was a board of facilities, right? And you put a dot to the facilities that were important but not well provided in the community. You may not be able to see these, so we wanted to include everything on one screen, so I'll read it. From top to bottom, the blue is that 90th percentile, so that's obviously priority, right? So indoor pool was number 1, dog-friendly gathering areas 2, outdoor pool 3, community gardens 4, indoor gymnasium 5, multi-generational center 6, senior center 7, paved multi-purpose trails 8, and transportation 9. So those are the top 90. What we learned from these is strong demand for aquatic facilities. We saw indoor or group dog-friendly amenities were also strong. The ones in blue that you're seeing here are ones that are strong, and the ones in green are not as strong. So trails and improved access, nature-based experiences, all strong. Moderate but lesser interest in neighborhood park spaces, active recreation, and specialized amenities. So this is all related to those facilities that the group felt were important but not well provided. We also asked you about programs and activities. At the top, again, the 90th percentile were flatter fitness, adult education, GED degrees, team programs, programs for people with disabilities, programs with children's / senior meals. Again, that's 90th percentile. And then as we consider the others, some of the big ideas were strong demand for inclusive and accessible programming, as well as aquatics, fitness and recreation, education and skill building programs, teen youth development, family and intergenerational programming, health, fitness and wellness, and community events and social activities. Not as strong were arts and culture programming, athletic leagues, and digital programming.
Because we do that well.
Yeah, we do already have all that.
Exactly, yeah. And that's really good, right? That's a good point, right? Because the idea was provided, but important, but not well provided. So excellent points. You may recall that we asked you about supportive action. What elements were you supportive of, somewhat supportive, not supportive, et cetera. So the top 3 there: acquiring land, developing park and recreation facilities, enhancing, upgrading, and renovating existing parks and outdoor recreation facilities. And the third top was developing new indoor recreation center. We had a good discussion about that with this group. So what do we extract from this chart? Strong interest in acquiring additional parkland, system-wide improvements across the system, just improving what we have. Connectivity, trails, greenways, bicycle facilities, development of new parks, and new indoor recreation center. Some interest in expanding athletics and aquatic facilities, increasing river access. And then the last exercise you may recall was about park system use exercise. If there were elements that we could enhance in the system that relate to your everyday life, what could that look like? And so the top 2 there you see is food and everyday social life, and youth development and teen top 2. So some elements to extract is overall, based on these findings, there's a notion of parks serving a multifunctional role in the community, which is really great. With a strong demand for additional youth development, teen-focused spaces, food, everyday social services, mental health, personal restoration. There was also one around work, had a discussion about potentially working from home, and could the park system play a role in that? So creative, cultural work and learning, community participation. Everyday movement and economic opportunities not as strong, but in there. Seeing parks as that third space and extension of the home, and then some interest in caregiving and reflective uses, and then limited for combining parks with parenting services. So that was the last exercise, I believe, from this group. Now let's see how the findings from the community meeting relate to this group. So again, I'll mention the 90th percentile ones. In the public meeting, what we heard was paved multi-purpose trails, dog-friendly gathering areas, so there's a consistency there, natural areas and nature parks, community gardens, off-leash dog parks.
No pools.
Not pools from the public, no. At least not in that high priority. Let me see where pools were.
Splash pad way down.
Yeah, indoor pool was middle through in the 50th to 89th percentile. And outdoor pool, so more of that second priority from the public. So what do we extract from this? That the letters and the words in orange are those that relate to what this group identified, right? Where there's some crossover. So where we see crossover between this group and public meeting was trails, walking, and park connectivity. Dog-friendly park amenities, community gathering, recreation centers, and specialized amenities. Those tend to be strong crossover. Now, it'll be interesting to see what we hear from the statistically valid survey, right? That is by far our strongest technique. As we said before, it's a 95% confidence level with a margin of error about 3.5%. So you'll see it when we get to that point in the process, we'll create a series of matrices that show how all the public engagement findings relate, right, to the statistically valid.
What's the timeline for the continuation of that survey?
So I believe they might have already elected the responses they need.
Okay.
So I think we probably have it on for one more, I mean, they're gonna continue to collect responses, but
Is that from the mailer that they sent out?
yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
So
Now,
two surveys, if I may. One is a conjoint survey.
you might wanna get on.
No, it's not working.
What is it? What
Oh, it's
kind of
on
survey?
video.
One is a conjoint survey that is related to the comprehensive plan. And one is a statistically valid survey for the recreation and the parks master plan. So there are two statistically valid surveys ongoing right now. Those are being targeted to specific groups of the community. We have decided to complete like the statistically valid portions of the survey this week. And the public release of those two surveys are going to go out sometime early this week, whether it's
It'll be this week, yeah.
Next week.
This week.
These are mailings though?
The
These
open,
are
the open will be this week.
open will be this week.
Right.
Mailings or online?
Online.
Online, yeah.
Okay.
So it's.
And the engagement hub will have the links to both of those surveys. So if you go to the engagement hub, you'll be able to engage with those two surveys.
If people didn't get all the way to the end of the online survey, do the portions of what they did respond to, are those considered, those responses, or did you have to get to the end of the
I
survey?
think that's another response, probably. So,
I think you have to click submit.
Yeah.
After
yeah,
what's
yeah,
submit? Okay.
You have to get to the end.
So, and it's an important point that there's gonna be two different, the same questionnaire, but it's just treated in two different techniques. One is statistically representative because it's random. And then they'll match the responses to the demographics of the community, right? So that's one technique. And then once that's closed and we're done with that, which is this week, then we'll release the online, which is open and available to anyone that wants to take it. And then we're gonna compare those two findings.
So you're not going back to the same people that responded?
If they'd like to, they have that choice, but
That
the
choice
idea
is
is,
there.
and the reason we do it is twofold. Number one, and we learned a long time ago, because we learned from this. People will say, well, wait a minute, I didn't receive that survey, I wanna participate, your process is not valid because I didn't participate, right? So we wanna make sure everybody has a chance. Number two, it also helps us identify potential patterns, right? And also needs and I use this example a lot. When we did the City of Miami Parks Master Plan, if we would have just paid attention to the online survey, you would have thought skate parks were the most important thing on the list, right? Because skaters organized to complete the survey. Now, that was different than the statistically valid response, but it was an important finding because the mayor and director now knew that there was a need there, right? So it could be addressed. So that's why we treat them. So as it comes out next week, please share with your networks. And the goal is to get as many responses.
Did you only send the written ones to old people?
No, they are sent random. Yeah, they're random.
Just make it a Facebook poll and you get.
I got one.
Yeah, so you get exactly one,
Get
that's
one.
what I designed, right? You're not supposed to all get it, it's supposed to be random, so, yeah. All right,
I
good.
laughed when it came.
It's random, but you can take it by going to the website.
You can't.
It's two separate, it's the same survey, but two separate processes.
Understand now. Thank you. I'm good.
All right, any questions about that discussion before we go? All right, very good. All right, so these were findings from the public meeting. Again, these were the facilities. Now let's look at the programs. The top programs were community special events, public art, adult fitness and wellness, dog socialization, and movies in the park. And then again, in terms of the patterns, community events and social gathering opportunities, some synergy there, health and wellness, active lifestyle, inclusive programming, educational skill building opportunities, youth and teen programming. As it, any questions?
Does that mean we don't know what the public wants?
No, not at all. It's just different perspective.
Yeah.
That's the
Huh.
opportunity. In terms of public meeting, in terms of supportive actions, the top three: developing new greenways and trails and high quality bicycle facilities, acquiring land, and increasing river access. So in terms of elements that relate to both is that overall community support for improving the system. And you'll see that here in a little bit as well. Strong support for multimodal connectivity, active transportation, expanding parkland and recreation opportunities, upgrading existing parks and facilities, and additional park. Now, I believe, okay, this is park system use, so this is still one that you all worked on. Food and everyday social life and work and productivity and learning were the top two that was in that 90th percentile. And so that's where there's synergy, right? Food, social gathering, community connections, flexible work learning, proactive spaces, and convenient everyday service.
What's the blue and green?
The green of caregiving support and personal.
No, I can read them. What do they mean? The orange had a specific meaning. Do the blue or?
Orange was the most popular. Which was the?
Yeah,
next?
orange is that there's
Consistent.
crossover.
Yeah, yeah.
Blue, that it was a strength, right, but not related to this group. And then green is not as strong. Now, the next series of exercises that you'll see are the results from the exercises that you took today. And in a little bit, we're gonna report out how this group did. But in terms of capital spending, like where would people like to spend their dollars? What we heard in the public was that $24 was developing new walking and biking facilities, a larger percentage of enhancing connectivity. And then beyond that, it was acquiring new parkland, and then beyond that, developing new parks. So those are the top groups.
That's what we said.
No, that's what the
That's
public
what the public said.
You took those today, so in a moment,
Okay.
we'll find out what.
Well, but hold on, you say that out loud though, and think about the why. They are may be satisfied with the current state of our existing facilities. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah,
but
I
not
think
now.
that Linda was surprised that there wasn't more focus on improving
Maintenance.
our existing walking and biking facilities. But I think that's that reflective of the fact that they're satisfied with the way things are maintained today.
Potentially.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, remember that this is a group, right? The statistic, that's why it's
Right.
gonna be interesting when we get the statistically balanced. I think it's really important to note that these are findings to date.
Right, and everybody's idea of improvements and maintenance can be a little bit different.
Right.
I know to expect when I go to a park on a Sunday afternoon at 6 o'clock when the sun's going down, the garbage cans will be full. Because the park's been busy all weekend and the folks haven't come out to clean up the garbage cans. I know that, but there's folks who would expect things to be pristine and clean and golf course-esque and every trash can would be empty. Everybody has different set of
Well,
expectations.
the people that fill these out are big into the parks.
Right.
As well, so their expectations are different than those that may go once a year.
So this was capital funding. Let's see, let's jump to operations and services. So I thought this was really interesting. The first one was additional adult recreation programs or classes. Now that may mimic demographics, right? So to a certain degree, it wasn't surprising. And then after that, increasing staff to improve maintenance of parks and recreation facilities. And then the third one, additional senior recreation programs. Fourth, increasing the frequency of programs.
Well, and demographics and who knows how to find out about what is going on.
Right, and who shows up?
That's right.
And then for the last one is in terms of, would you be willing to increase taxes to pay
Yeah, I told you.
47% over $200 and 17% over 100?
And that's going toward a bond.
That's going to our bond. Again, it's gonna be really interesting to see the statistically valid survey, right?
Yeah.
But these findings are typically, what I usually see is the opposite. I usually see a high number in the 50 to 75, right, range, and then it kind of reduces once you get to the higher spending But in this case, we're seeing the opposite.
Well, because you're also seeing seniors having more interest and whatnot as well, so it's,
And who came to the public?
that's
The
right.
seniors came to the public.
Do you have a
That's right.
demographic of who came?
No, but we will have it on the online survey, and then statistically valid survey will be, that's the demographic, so that will be. So I thought this, honestly, I thought this was pretty cool.
The meeting did skew a little older, I would say,
I would think so.
just looking at the room.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanna add, like, if you're renting, the math you're doing is how it'll trickle down to a monthly increase. And so 200 a year is like $17 a month, which is reasonable, as well. So I think, yeah.
But that's tacked onto your property taxes, which are already 10 grand, so
So
what's
the rental
200
people are
bucks?
paying that.
Or to your rent,
To your
which
rent,
is already
right,
a
right.
couple thousand.
Right.
And so you expect an increase,
Well,
anyway.
but the
you're kinda
property
used to it.
owners be paying.
Right, the
increase.
landlord would be
Right.
paying it, right.
But you bring up a
Probably
good
not
point,
the
right?
same.
It is a relatively speaking, a marginal increase for a large impact.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's an important, that's why whenever we ask this question, there's always support for it, right? Because residents, most of the time, even in very, very conservative communities that we've worked in, there's always an interest in improving quality of life, and folks really do want to see their dollars go to work.
And I guess I would suggest, as you present this option to the public.
Yep.
Somehow, adding language to help people who may not be in a traditional property tax paying posture.
Mhm.
Like, do that math
Sure.
for themselves so you can get a real answer, because it would, 200 a year may sound like a lot, but it's, the way you pay it.
Somebody paying $17 a month to get a brand new park right down the
Right.
street is definitely worth it.
Yeah, and so if it's communicated that
Yep.
way, you get more honest.
Yes, and certain projects that we've done, and I know the ETC, the statistically valid firm that we work with, they kind of go both ways on this. We sometimes will show, $50 to $75 a year is the cost of a Starbucks, right?
But then you're presenting bias into the survey.
Some would say that, yes, other would say that it's education and awareness. Right. So
Bias.
We did take it
That's-
out of our survey.
yeah, they did
That's
take
how
it
you
out.
framed it.
Yeah. So anyways, but I thought this was interesting. Again, we'll see what the statistically valid survey says. That'll be the interesting part.
Do we have the stats on, of these programs that are offered today? How many people are taking advantage of and using them? Cause you could compare,
Do they even know
oh,
they
that'd be
exist?
so great to offer this for our seniors of what we offer today. What percentage is taking advantage of it?
Well,
before
yeah,
we
they
end up-
track a lot of it.
Yeah, we have our annual numbers. I can't tell you what they were.
So I'll give you a real life example. I sit on the Friends of Lost Corner Board, which is the 24-acre nature preserve at Brandon Mill and Riverside. And I'm the publicity manager, so I serve to get, that's how, when I mentioned that, whether or not you hear about it and you sign up for things, our newsletter is our most used format to get the word out when we have spring and fall programs. There's availability of, there's 49 chairs that can fill the room. Historically, back 10 years ago, when we first started doing programming, we couldn't get 5 people in the room. Now we get anywhere from 35 to 50 people in for a program, and that's consistently every program that we run. It's probably averages somewhere around 35 people to 40 people. And that's, I mean, we think that's a fantastic, amazing uptake, because it's literally, I mean, it's birds and it's, amphibians, and it's all sorts of interesting kinds of material. I can't speak to any of the other kinds of like fitness, gymnastics and things like that, but I think that there's waiting lists for folks to get
We've
to
seen
avail
an
themselves.
increase year over year.
Yeah.
In our programs. Our biggest limitation is the facilities we have. I mean, we don't have an indoor.
And that's true, they are
recreation
skewed.
center,
You know, they are-
gyms, and-
Yeah.
and School controls those facilities that we use, so we're kind of all into them, but it's, yeah, and we could grow into whatever.
You can buy a really nice gym.
See? The Benson Center, I mean, they will say that they've increased as well.
Yeah.
They continue to increase with people, they don't have really membership. You just have to take some kind of a test to show that you know how to get in the front door. The Benson Center. And their numbers have been,
The water
and it's an
room is
awesome
less.
facility. you know, a lot of people in the city do not know that it exists over
Yeah.
there either, which is kind of interesting.
So just quickly looking at the results, about 70% of the group said between $101 to $200.
There you go.
And then 20% said over 200.
But the public said over 200.
Right, but it's still a high number, right? So
Both of them
there's a
combined are high numbers.
And then I think the opportunity here is to work backwards from it, right? And say, okay, if this is what the increase is, what does that fall under? Right? So that's the opportunity with this. So already a similarity between this group and the public in terms of increasing. So again, we'll see what this is about. All right, so let's briefly just go back to this, because I have the results here from the group. So this group was 22 of those dollars, development of new walking and biking facilities, so similar to what we saw here as well, right? After that was $21 for improvements, maintenance to existing walking and biking facilities. So a little, they did $6, but this
I
group was.
skewed the results.
That's all in one place.
I did.
And then the third one is development of new indoor recreation center with this group, which is a little, I think it's fifth on this one, so not too far off. And then we'll do the top three of the next one, which was programs and services. And so the first one, this group was additional youth athletic programs for this group, which and this particular group was further down.
Yeah.
Yep, and then additional youth recreation programs or classes excluding athletics, which again was a little different in this one, and then additional adult athletic programs and leagues. Third one. Again, we'll see how this relates to this.
So in terms of youth recreation, the schools take up a lot of the slack for recreation and athletics, right? Public and private
They
schools.
do a little bit of middle school, more so in high school. But for elementary schools, we provide our after-school soccer and basketball programs within the school system. So then we're working with Sandy Springs Youth Sports to see how we can develop more girls' youth sports. Is an area we're concentrating in right now too, because there's a big gap, particularly in middle school, when athletics starts to drop off for girls. So we're trying to see where we can fill that gap.
And you said this, but just to be clear, y'all partner with the school system on those soccer and like basketball.
Right. Yeah, we have intergovernmental agreements with each school to be able to go into the schools after hours and provide those programs.
Yeah.
And we typically provide capital dollars for their facilities in exchange for that.
Kristen, say it louder, it's hard to hear.
Sorry, so typically within those agreements with the school, there's some kind of capital improvement that the city will make to their facility
Yes.
in order for us to use it for
Yes.
programming.
Thanks.
For example, the turf field at Dunwoody Springs is the city installed that field on school property. We paid that cost.
Sure. So thank you, Kristen, for encouraging us to count these. This is very good. The last exercise we wanted to share some findings were related to park improvements. So what we did in the public meeting, for those that may have not gone, is we printed out aerials of all the parks in the system. And we placed them on tables, and people could go and write a note on specific improvements that they'd like to see in the park. So we did it for 25 parks, 157 comments in total. And it was interesting to see some of the themes that emerged from that, right? We wrote down all the comments and then we started extracting what are the big ideas that came from all those comments. And I thought this was pretty cool. Top 5 were improve access, visibility, and connectivity, which we've seen from here as well. Upgrade facility renewals and maintenance, a lot of those comments. Expanding recreation amenities and programming, enhancing user comfort, support amenities, and protect, expand, and better utilize. I thought that was pretty cool. Now, the last exercise of the day is the opportunity for this group to help us develop some preliminary exercise goals for the parks plan. So think of the ones that were identified through the previous exercise, and I think Allison may have those.
Yes, those are
tallied.
results.
Yep.
Very unscientific. I went back and retallied now that I could actually sit down.
And then, like I said, very unscientific, just gave a little more weight to the goals that had more yeses than modifies, and so that is, that makes sense. It's not scientific, but this is a kind of a, because there were no obvious things we could eliminate, we said, let's just put them all in there and we'll just rank them in order of kind of the kind of maybe importance, maybe that they kind of would have for the next comprehensive plan. So Carlos, I don't know if there's something you could take away from those results.
Well, we'll see. I mean, there's a little bit of making some sausage with the group. But the idea is for you to organize into into 3 groups. And we're gonna give you some blank cards. And we'd like to get your thoughts on what could be 3 to 5 preliminary goals for the parks plan. That consider some
Out of these 10.
out of those 10 or out of the, and considering the findings too from the previous information. And again, these are preliminary. We can get them from you today and then we can continue to refine them as we go. But it's an opportunity to start on that. That sound good? Okay, so we'll get a group here to join, and here, so there's 6 blank cards here. If you wanna use those to write in 3 to 5.
Focus right now is still on parks, right? Parks and
Oh,
Rec,
Yes, only recreation.
only recreation, okay.
That's all he cares about.
Here's another group here, and then if we have wanna do another group over here. So what we'd love for you to do is
You can write.
select a scribe from your group
Yeah,
to
like just elected you.
and then you'll report out, right? You'll report out what are your 3 to 5.
Yeah, part of it.
Better
So-
than-
I still have green dots.
I know that's.
Run my mouth.
There's some
You coming
more.
over here?
Go over there. Yep.
You going over there?
Telling me the right thing.
Okay, buckets.
So-
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Leaving us. It's good.
We're 5 over there.
We know based on,
Nobody else.
okay, thank you for joining us. Okay,
3 to 5
It's
goals.
just 3 of us.
going up.
3 to 5 goals on.
So
Yeah, they
As-
by the,
as-
so as it receives the target, if you believe there's percentages.
we have an arts and green
What's
space
the
focus, and I have neighborhood focus. So,
We put extras into,
if you're aware
like
that
we
there
said,
is
competitive
a
economy. Do we take
trails
something else, put
master
it
plan
impact competitive
in
economy?
place that the
Like
conservation
transit.
helps.
But you don't put it in, you just pick 3.
Three that you think
I
could.
don't go. I don't
So, some of it was very
It's a starting point, right?
aspirational,
There'll be
but
opportunities.
in order to,
Quality
and
of
I see this in the way the
life.
neighborhoods approach
So
their receptivity to
And I think
trails, some of which is right through neighborhoods, and they don't want it.
It may fall under that.
It is all of it.
It is.
Okay, well, that may.
Well, and.
Now, could that.
In my backyard too. Right, so.
Some of that increased staff.
Brandon
could
Ridge
just-
Drive,
this-
folks on Brandon Ridge Drive, some of them also.
Transit mobility, we talked about those things being together, so.
Right, and
Yes,
you get to
so I think
places,
it's
Yeah.
about
Wondering-
creating
how do you get
a,
to the places?
I think redevelopment, depending on where the parks are, the recreation areas, what's right there.
Again,
Around.
Right, and
It says no matter what you feel.
right, exactly.
It's going to be.
Okay,
So I think-
everything, the quality of the place.
That's all we're
And
supposed
it'll
to do.
build for us.
Oh, we don't have to.
And it's gonna be much more.
Go.
So it-
We need a little help
It's like-
over here.
City.
Table 3.
Absolutely.
Putting goals.
And I always think.
Taking it further than one part, that's it.
However you.
I think it's Central Park.
Green.
The four stuff. She's the last step.
Either,
Any
either.
description of any of this?
So let's think about how we
Just
wanna.
put words down, that's it.
And maybe a 2-sentence goal. To foster acceptance and.
The quality of places, life, so the improved life.
Where were those other things?
So that's.
So foster acceptance and, usability, but,
Say the trail
That kinda
connects
goes-
to the,
No, redevelopment is the best, to me, is the best use of what we got. It's taking advantage of what we have now. City.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. Yeah, I do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I looked at all that, I'm like, where's that? I know, but
And that's why most people didn't say they wanted you.
right,
We have,
there's
we
so many, we have a lot.
We'd rather approve everybody approve.
And pathways.
What?
Improve money.
Yeah.
But, right.
So yeah, like quality of life, that would be like to the existing.
No, we have not.
So I mean.
It will attract more people,
Right.
give more opportunity.
Yep.
Budgetary decisions. You know, there's.
Foster acceptance and adoption.
I know, cause I mean, there are a
Citywide
boatload of people
greenway
who use
system
Hammond
of
Park.
biking and walking.
That's right.
And they never went there before
Nope.
football. I mean, people didn't know where it was, you know,
Well, the tennis courts is the same way.
Yeah.
Tennis center. Nobody used to go there. It was tennis center. but
So
they
is
go
a
to
sub
tennis.
is a.
oh,
is
that's
that-
the Greek Center?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's added.
They probably got, they got.
What center? That's what it's called,
Yeah.
the racket center? Oh, okay, well, that makes sense. They
There's
got a lot of
probably a
friends that
place
play there.
there's probably a place to put a pool over there.
I think we were doing one around.
Oh,
We were going like, see,
Sure.
well, you know,
Yeah,
this four
sports
grand
If you want, go big over there.
The council
Not when
part
I
of
was
your
there last.
achievement, I wanna be very
Well,
intentional.
that
with what I
one,
do.
use that.
Citywide greenway system?
So I want,
Redevelop.
I wanna be aggressive.
Could exist, they not create more.
You really wanna.
Well, I mean, think about it. I mean, you go to Chastain.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, you pay money to go to Hammond Park.
We were directing them to, right, right.
So you're saying a community park, you don't pay anything?
Things like parking.
Next beyond our
Like
borders.
sort of, unintended extra.
Redevelop.
I don't know that we're thinking too hard about that
I think
on the
it's,
front end.
I think
No,
redevelopment
that's okay.
also
That's
is.
okay. I think that's really.
So you're saying. You're.
Can you
So
say
many.
biking and walking?
We-
There's more that we can do.
Satisfied with the level.
Well, like, okay. Okay.
He needs
I
money.
mean, examples.
He needs money, he needs ideas, he needs programs.
It's an older facility. It's an older facility and it looks like.
There's another thing. Is there a way to include
It
that?
needs millions.
They may already, I don't know.
Yeah.
Stuff I don't know.
Yeah, they
about.
do.
Yeah.
They-
Right.
No, I don't know.
They don't do capitalism.
And like, does that Morgan Falls where they play
Yeah.
football and baseball and all that, is that part of the Parks and Rec?
Yes, that's
Okay.
his stuff.
They were.
Canoeing is, paddling is, that's all. that
Maintain
stuff
the
is
town.
down- Down where the parade goes down.
Hey.
A lot of it's awareness.
And that's what I was just gonna say.
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
put
half the people
awareness
don't
on
even
it.
know. Public awareness, communicate.
Or like what happened at
In the
in the last few years. You know, we built it, it was beautiful, and then it started like deteriorating.
Like the what?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Obviously, what it is.
Oh, yeah.
We have, I mean, we're dealing with it now, but it's again, like millions of dollars in investment just to keep it, you know, for the upkeep.
Like social.
Because of where it's located.
It's like groups that get. You know, playing marginal. It's doing puzzles together. It's
You know what,
reading.
there's no public meetings.
There is.
No,
There
there's
isn't.
no,
I mean,
there's
that's
no
what
place.
this building is.
It meets our racket center looks
No,
nothing
they're
like
not.
this.
That's what I'm saying.
It was like two different parts of the world.
So they need more of what we talked about.
Racket center is
A community center.
What do you get? Old Sandy Springs.
They're not.
They're talking about for a center.
They're not pickup game either.
That goes down to co-working.
Yeah, yeah.
There would be there.
Right, you gotta.
And you can we give you 2 more minutes?
Somebody pays the.
2 more minutes? 2 more minutes?
You could have speakers in there. You
Let's
could
put all the nonprofits in there, let them pay a little bit of money.
Yeah. You can always.
We are renovating one. About the rest of the.
Yep.
I know you are.
Facilitate.
Rob isn't doing it anymore.
Acquisition.
Ready.
That's what
Rabbits.
I know.
It's out there to suck up to till after.
We're gonna find out.
This is all.
Quality
Quality of life, a place to live, it's just,
Public space opportunities.
It's good, and there's quiet space, there's some space for animals.
Somehow it needs to be engaging, all the apartments.
It is, yes, it's already.
But
The
the apartments is like.
Maintain, I think we're in agreement, maintaining.
they have a park. But condos, that's fine. They're all.
That's already been addressed.
But down at Morgan Falls, did they do it there?
That one.
They let some steam off.
This was 18, self-consuming, exploded. And then, fine.
Have other things.
Oh, we got.
Stay selling.
we got presented
About one minute next week.
years ago.
Oh, like the land. It's like. Sparkle. That's all around City Hall. Why couldn't it stand it?
You do. But people.
I just about to say, that's my worry is I don't want us to get ahead of ourselves, right? Right.
No, I totally understand, but also just middle of the city. When they down at opposite ends, and they get to the south side now. South end.
You could have a house on the road, right?
Way to get people down. Morgan Falls.
Yeah, no, I could. All right, who wants to go first?
Oh, no.
All right, we'll go first.
Rhonda does.
All right, we have the advantage of having a, arts and conservancy person and Raymond, our education person, and me with kind of a neighborhood bent. Invest in and foster acceptance and adoption, or the words widespread use, of a citywide greenway system of biking and walking trails that connect beyond our borders. Create a funding mechanism, call it an opportunity fund, to facilitate rapid acquisition for public space opportunities. And ensure a ongoing parks bond to fund acquisition, development, and major improvements to our citywide park system.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Very good.
All right, who wants to go?
We chose quality of place and life, improvements to existing parks to attract more people and more connectivity and community events, and community centers so that we can engage all socioeconomic. If you look around, there's no place for a Boy Scout group to have a meeting here. And then our next one was connectivity, public awareness of all activities, public meeting spaces for all economic people. Ooh, a theme, community center. And we have nonprofit spaces and community events in parks to drive more people to the parks. And then the redevelopment, a community pool. So repurposing one of our bigger parks. Somebody's gotta have enough room. Morgan Falls has gotta have enough room for a park. Abernathy's got it for a pool. Abernathy, Hammond Park, somebody's gonna have enough room for a pool.
Very nice, excellent, nice field.
All right, we had three things, two of which are funded to an extent. One long-term, one annually, and one apparently not at all. The one that's not at all is acquiring new parkland, overall land acquisition. I don't think there's anything in any budgets or any plan to do any of that. I think
Used impact fees in the past for parkland acquisition where we have purchased.
one that is funded on a daily basis, intentional in maintaining what we have. So we have all of these facilities and some of them are getting run down, they're not in good shape, they need a lot of money. We maintain them, but are we going to really spend the money to improve them? I.e. the tennis or whatever it's called now, the racket center. And then the other one that there's tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars already budgeted for improving our existing trails and building new ones. I mean, we got that whole trail plan that's out there with lots of money that's funded for that, so those are our three.
All right, well, thank you.
There's funding for all of that, billions of dollars.
Not billions, millions.
I'm gonna collect these and then we'll document them and.
Yeah, everything from working to
Um,
bridge across the river to connectivity to Roswell Road. I mean, all that stuff is,
That's not funded.
a lot of it is.
We're trying to just get the
In this budget?
trail plan in Morgan.
They just finished building a bunch of it. I mean, there's ongoing funding for that.
Well, thank you all for doing the exercise. We are a little over time, so we're gonna pass it on to security, but again, thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Nicely done this evening.
And quickly, just before we close, the next steps. As I mentioned before, the leadership work sessions tomorrow with the mayor and council at 6 p.m. The day after tomorrow with the planning commission at 6 p.m. And then we have other community engagement activities that are going to be happening. As we kind of shared a little while back, the conjoint survey for the comprehensive plan and the statistically valid portion of the park survey is going to be released publicly this week. And there will be all releases on online notifications. Public meeting number 2 is August 17th and 20th, 2026, 6 to 8 p.m. Which one's which?
So the one on the 17th will be in South End at the Church of Redeemer. And then the North End would be on August 20th at the police headquarters building. In the center.
And then we'll have the other pop-ups and the engagement activities. You will see the notifications. Just follow the engagement hub and ask the city staff. They will be able to share. Based on all of the feedback that we'll be collecting, our next steps are going towards creating the Sandy Springs Today section, which is like an existing condition summary of the comprehensive plan and the Parks and Recreation, the Parks Master Plan. And then we'll be diving deep into the draft policies. And that's where meeting number 3 with all of you guys is going to be important. Meeting number 3 is going to be a workshop with you all. It's a 4-hour workshop around the lunchtime. It's on the week of September 14th. And then the final meeting with the advisory committee is the week of December 7th, where we'll be talking about the refined policies. So in the third meeting, it's about rolling up our sleeves and thinking about the policies. We talked about the goals. Now we want to get a little bit deep dive into the policies. And then the fourth meeting is about after we hear and test it out with the community, we'll come back and refine those policies. And that's all. Thank you very much.
For that 4-hour meeting, can you say that one more time?
Yeah, 4 hours.
You'll have food. All right.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
I'm sorry. Thanks for Campbellstone on Friday.
Yours, yeah. So bring it, and if you have any other handles, we have it.
23rd, very well done. I got